Hello and welcome back to the Travel on Gravel channel. You join us today surrounded by flies, Mike Barron from Cape Rad and his dog Cassie. We're here in Greyton at the Twin River caravan site and campsite. It's an awesome place. I'm going to show you more about that later. For now, we are ready to go out and hit the trails and see what we can find around Greyton and finally travel on some gravel with you. Greyton is a picturesque little town about 2 hours outside of Cape Town, so it's not too far at all. It sits nestled underneath some fabulous mountains with amazing views and hiking trails. So earlier on this morning we got the trusty Tracks for Africa maps open on a laptop, had a little look, and to the north of us there is a little bicycle trail, mountain bike trail that looks like we could drive it. So we had a chat with the campsite owners and some local people. Turns out no one's got a problem with it. So what we did is we jumped to the trucks, we pulled out of the campsite, literally drove over the river, took our first right, and we were on the gravel. This is what's going to happen next. This is actually alright. Peaceful bit of Monday morning drive. Alrighty, on some other popular internet overlanding, off-roading channels, you might see what people have done to upgrade their cars and make them better. Here on Travel on Gravel we have a different expectation. Mike, what's broken on your car this week?
The biggest problem for me at the minute is my spare tyre ratchet.
Show us, come on, go on, show us the damage.
Every bump you go over, it feels like you're going to come off. And you can see the aluminium's actually split here. You can zoom in there. So, you know, we're about 4 bumps away from the whole back door being ripped off. Apart from that, be alright.
So we've actually decided that it might actually rip off Mike's door, so we're going to whip it off and chuck it in the back.
There's a huge crack down here actually. Ah, there we go.
Jesus.
I was taking the whole thing off.
One thing at a time.
So that's obviously not the key. That's the lock one then.
Now imagine you're stuck in the bush, it's boiling hot, and you have to get this off because you've got a flat tyre.
Glad we found it out now. Yeah. This is the floor of the Land Rover's spare wheel attachment. The whole weight is on the small, flimsy aluminium door and it pulls it off, splits it.
And the brackets we've found to actually mount it to the actual chassis are really expensive, so we really need to sit down and try and make one. Get the welder out on the roof, or just put it on a roof. Things that are broken on mine. The back's actually alright. It's a half lie. We got a war wound from a Suzuki Swift crashing into the back of us in the snow. It was alright. This is cosmetic. We don't really need this, do we? Oh, hang on. For those of you who are fans of cable tie art, the entire unit here over time has broken and it is now held entirely by cable ties. So my driver's side windscreen wiper works, but is a bit flimsy, which is why I've left this plastic off in case I have to do any running repairs. Because, you know, the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed a difference in the paint quality around the window. That's because recently I had to weld in a lot of new metal around the windscreen as it all rusted away and was starting to become ordained, or as we call it, holy. Putting the window back in, unfortunately, we suffered a bit of a crack and it's been slowly growing across the window. But that's all minor. Other than that, it's in pretty good nick, really. It's just cosmetic, pretty stuff. Engine doesn't use any oil, it goes.
Have you painted over rust here?
No, this is a vicious wheelie bin attacked me and I panel beated it myself. I'm sure on camera it doesn't look that bad as it does in person. I'm quite pleased.
Yeah.
I could have done worse.
It's beautiful.
Alrighty, I've got to quickly tighten up my roof rack, so give me 10 mil worth of time and we'll get going again.
Okay.
Now this is a little bit more what we're about. This track isn't exactly challenging still, but it's demanding a little bit more concentration than just pottering along on a flat bit of ground. There's some nice ruts along here that kind of call for a little bit of line picking, a little bit of control and coordination.
Wetting my absolute arse. Is this bumpier or smoother than gas?
It's all no more bumpier. Where's the tricky bit?
Just round this corner. I'm absolutely dripping with sweat.
You go for a swim, we can get back.
Yeah.
Good drive though, mate, good drive. That was a bit more like it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A bit more challenge.
That's comfy ride, look like you.
Yeah. Pretty stunning, isn't it? Oh, don't tempt me. It's hot. Is your aircon working?
It is, but I've got the window open.
Mine isn't. The wind is open. Right, I think Joe's landed the drone, because we've drained the battery doing that.
How did you?
Yeah, so I've got more, but they're on charge. Right, onwards we go.
A few moments later.
And I thought that was going to require a locked diff. Whew. Typical, just as the fun begins, we get a lock gate, we've got to turn around. Oh well, back to camp and a cold beer, I think. Is it more or less comfortable than you were expecting in your car?
There's no such thing as comfortable in this car, so I wasn't expecting much. The gear range rinse your petrol by any chance?
Say that again.
Using low gear range rinse your fuel faster.
Most definitely if you're in lower range, because you're doing less rotations of the wheel for rotations of the engine. You're creating more torque.
Yeah, so I used a quarter of a tank to get from Cape Town to here, and I've used a quarter of a tank today.
But you've been in high range, haven't you? You've only been in low range briefly.
Yeah, I only put it in low range for those couple of bits.
I mean, we are moving slower in lower gears and getting less fuel economy, it is true. I don't find it that bad on my side though. Did alright on the gravel roads from the last trip. Tell you what though, I am dying for a beer.
It'll cost you.
What are we thinking? Are we thinking another tank of rescue diesel, or do I have to drink your pee?
Throw a job and call it quits.
What, so you want me to inflate a flat tyre for you? A blowjob? Is that what you're talking about?
I might need to check my tyre pressures actually. You've got to think, because I haven't checked over a while.
Yeah, I've got one, and I've got a compressor in the back.
I did check my water and my oil though before I left, like a good big boy.
I should actually do that. Just given how old this engine is, I didn't before we left. I was in a bit of a rush. So give me a slap on the wrist when we get back. Alrighty, it's our time to cook tonight, and tonight we're going to be cooking Pojie. However, it's me and Mike cooking. So you've got two inept Englishmen cooking a Pojie. South Africans of a nervous disposition should turn off now. So Mike, that's incredibly hot.
I smell the heat.
Alrighty, with yesterday being a bit of a success and a failure, you know, the Pojie being the big surprise, the big success of yesterday.
Yeah, big surprise no one got food poisoning.
And our 4x4ing efforts to go on a bicycle track kind of failing when we ran up against a locked gate. Hopefully today should be a bit better, eh?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the fire over there hasn't burnt the trail down, and we'll see what we can find.
Yeah, bit of a longer trail today, hopefully.
Alrighty, yeah, let's give it a bash.
So, poring over the maps last night, we found a little trail up in the northern half of Greyton, up the Wolf Cliffs and then into the Bushman Cliffs hiking trail. It looks interesting. Let's go and see what it's like.
Alrighty, so after crossing the river and getting the tyres wet, we start winding our way up into the mountains. Now the first part of this trail is quite loose and shaly, so we weren't being able to fly up the hill. We were having to take our time and just move a little bit slowly, a couple of tiny rock steps, nothing major but just enough to unsettle the vehicle. Apologies for everyone watching this groaning at the piloting skills of the drone. Joseph was very kind enough to pilot the drone for us today. It's his first time flying a drone, so everyone give a big hand for Joe for not crashing the drone. Yeah, so Joe crashed the drone. Luckily, it was fine and we were able to keep filming and bring you some amazing shots of us driving up above Greyton, up the Wolf Cliffs Trail. It really is one of the most amazing things you can do to get out into the wild, get to places where no one's really been before and experience it for yourself. The views, the atmosphere, the smells, the feeling you get, the accomplishment of getting to the top of the trail. Like, seriously guys, you need to get out here and do this with us. I like how yesterday we were having a lot of jokes and banter over the radio. Today is a lot more serious.
Descent to focus a bit more when there's a 300 metre drop. 2 metres from your right hand side.
Makes you feel alive, doesn't it?
Breakfast dropped. No chance I'd get up there for breakfast.
You're not even going to get up here for dinner at this rate. Awesome sauce. Mike, do you reckon you know anyone who would rather sit on a tropical island than do this?
Not yet, but if my car breaks down out here, then I might be wishing I was on a tropical island.
Close your eyes, it's hot enough. This sort of thing never comes off well on camera, but the vehicle is canted over and all I can see is valley. So if we do go over, it's a very long roll to the bottom. And it might not look that much, but we're still at an angle enough to make me worried. Alrighty, here we are at the top of Bushman's Clough. Unfortunately, the 4x4 trail has stopped and now it's a footpath and we're going to have to turn around and head back the way we've come. So we're going to make like some trees and leaf down this lovely trail, head back to camp, and we'll see you back at camp where we're going to cook some dinner. Something we haven't spoken to you much about is what we've been using as our campsite for the last couple of days. We've been staying at the Twin Rivers campsite just outside of Greyton. It's more of an eco campsite, so you might not find electricity on all the campsites, but all the sites have got access to water. The campsite itself sits on the bank of 2 rivers that kind of come together and give you lots of swimming opportunities. It's in like a little rapid section that's really, really awesome. Dog friendly, although I would say make sure you've got a well-behaved dog, as there are a couple of horses roaming around. There's also lots of nature to see here. We've got the river with some fish in it. We've also got some kingfishers that are on that river as well. We've also seen mongoose and a few other bits and pieces hanging around. Some of the campsites are 4x4 only. There's not many of them, but there are a few that are 4x4 only. So that's something to bear in mind. Great hiking routes all around. Greyton itself is a beautiful little town there, and so there is a shop nearby, so you haven't got to worry about running out of supplies. It's not the kind of thing where you need to have tons and tons of stuff going on, but it is really, really nice and relaxed. So I'd thoroughly recommend coming here. You'll find links to all of their social media and their websites and their contact information down in the description below. So please, if you're in the Greyton area and looking for a campsite, check out Twin Rivers. It is thoroughly worth it. And here we are, back at camp. Alrighty, to round off this video, I'd like to start by thanking our top tier patrons, Richard and Tom, for helping move this channel forwards and help get behind us. Big thank you to everybody who's watched to the very end of this video. Every single view, like, comment and subscription I see, and I greatly appreciate it. I'm commenting back and I'm liking nearly every single comment. I learned a lot of lessons on this trip about the videography and the filmmaking aspect and all these other little bits and pieces that I'm going to take on board for the next video and make it even better. So thank you absolutely everybody. Please get in the comments, give it a share. Everything's appreciated. Thank you all so very much. We'll see you next time on Travel on Gravel.